What is up, and welcome to the DLF YouTube channel. We got our team series. We are breaking down all 32 teams, inviting on some incredible guests to do so. And today is no different. It's the team preview series presented by DynastyLeagueFootball.com. It's the best place on the internet for premium Dynasty League football information. Make sure that you check it out. Today on the preview, we're going to Dallas, and we're going to discuss the return of Dak Prescott, the ascent of CeeDee Lamb, and a certain running back that appears to be in prime crop top shape right now in Dallas. We're going to talk about all of that with these smart people. I'll introduce them to you right after this. So much fun going to be had today right here talking about the Dallas Cowboys. And to do so, I'm going to start by introducing the man down in the caddy corner from me here, Bruce Madsen at Metric Scout. He's a senior writer and maker for DLF, and he is the perfect guest. I actually, for a while, did not know your name. I just knew you as the guy with the Mr. Perfect avatar when I was following you on Twitter. But yeah, Bruce, what's going on, man? How are you? What are you up to?
I'm doing great. Excited to talk about the Cowboys. Right in my wheelhouse. I'm doing all kinds of stuff, man. I'm covering a lot of Debbie work for DLF, doing a lot of YouTube videos, pumping them out. I brought out 2 today. I'm going to bring out some more tonight. Always grinding. Concentrating on Debbie a lot this offseason and then everything else. So I'm a busy man.
Eagles fans in the chat already.
Oh, no. Sugar Shane in the house.
Quite like the NFC East,
I can't believe
right?
it's still our Phillies.
Yeah, Nate. Yeah, Nate was going to be on. He couldn't make it tonight. Miss you, Nate. We'll hook up again. We'll do something with you soon. But I am joined by the man right below me, Bo McBrayer. He's the host of Chalk Blocked. Him and his co-host Scott Simpson are awesome. Make sure you're following those guys for sure. And owner of the Big Time Flavor Company. And fun fact, he went to school with 4 of Aaron Rodgers' cousins. So, Bo, any interesting stories to tell us about that?
Aaron Rodgers happens to be one of the only NFL players I've ever had a beer with in conversation. So I actually did think he was going to retire. So I took a premature victory lap on Friday night, and I'm not sorry for it because I was pretty convinced with Vegas backing out of all the Packers lines that was a big sign. I was wrong. It's okay.
Never delete. Hashtag never delete, Bo. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no.
And then this guy right here to my left, sorry, Josh Nelson, better known as Smokey. He's the host of The Smoke Show. You definitely know him on Twitter. You love him. Jet Sweep with Will Harris. He's an awesome guy. Viridian Global over there. Shout out. And True North Fantasy Football, Fantasy Points, like everybody. Josh, what's going on?
I'm having a fantastic day, man. The sun is shining. We get to talk about the Cowboys and the detractors are going to come out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, what have you guys done in the last 30 years?" Who cares? Look at our team now. They're so exciting. I don't care if we win. 31 teams don't win every year. True. Our 31 teams going to be as exciting to watch as our Cowboys. If we're going to go down, it's going to be a show at least, man.
Certainly a show. A lot of fireworks last season, that's for sure, over the course of the first few games with Dak Prescott. And then, things went a little downhill after that. After watching him, that was a tough injury to watch. Hated to see that. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. A lot of videos, workout, a lot of cool things going on. Smokey, I'll go right back to you. What storylines, camp battles are you paying the most attention to in Dallas?
Not a ton of camp battles I'm really interested in other than on the back end there, because most of our skill position player assignments are already set. I mean, you already hear the reports of them working Gallup in the slot more and CD getting to where he should be on the outside, getting those perimeter X looks. There's no hiding my love of CeeDee Lamb.
What does it say? I can't tell what it says. What does it say?
It says Cedarian Lamb.
Nice. I love it.
Oh, yeah, baby. That's a Viridian Global special right there.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm such a big fan of this kid. I still can't believe he fell to us at 17. Man, look. Atlanta, what are you doing?
Atlanta's paying for that one.
Speaking
And
of
I hope they
Smokey.
do. Yeah, no doubt. What are they thinking down there? Anyways, so like I said, most of the skill position group assignments are fairly locked in. So it's just the defense. I mean, like, you see how slow Keanu Neal looked out there? It wasn't good. It looked like Keanu was still in bullet time out there, man. Well, the rest of the guys are just going around him, and you know, it is what it is. But there's not too many camp battles that I'm getting, you know, worked up over with this. Everyone is just, you know, where they should be.
Well, and that's
Healthy.
part of, like, hopefully that's the consistency that stays true throughout the course of the season, right? That's kind of, that would be the storyline probably, is like, can we get the same team on the field for 17 games? And if so, that offense is going to be really dangerous. Bruce, down to you. What kind of storylines are you watching?
We kind of just hit on it, but the storyline of us being able to stay away from that injury bug that really tumbled us last year. We were trying to get up Hamburger Hill, and we just kept rolling down one by one, catastrophically killed our season. And offensive line destroyed. Dak got snapped. Brutal season. Looks like we're coming back healthy. Zeke's lost like 1 million pounds. He went from Deke to Zeke, so it's going to be interesting to see how this team's going to look like. Hopefully it can stay together. Amari Cooper's banged up a little bit, but he should be all right. But yeah, that's the biggest thing I'm looking at.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? I guess, like, you mentioned Dak there, and the injury we've touched on a couple times, but like, it's got to feel good. And just to anybody who wants to respond to this, got to feel good that looks like he's in good shape right now. Like, he looks like he's running, he's cutting, he's, you know, rolling out of the pocket. Like, he doesn't appear to have any limitations.
No, that's why it's better that it was a fracture or a break instead of, you know, ligament damage, you know, the old Joe Burrow special from last year. I will take Dak's as horrific as it was to behold. I'll take that injury 10 times out of 10 over what Burrow had to go through, because he's going to be iffy coming in, and it's going to be, I mean, it's going to be a psychological thing for both of them coming back. That's going to be a big factor. But if they can work through that, I like Dak's chances of coming back to that peak form a lot faster than I do Burrow. One little camp battle I am semi-interested in, though, is our tight ends, because, you know, Schultz, in Jarwin's absence last year, Schultz did the job. And I'm not talking that, yeah, I see you down there, Bo. I'm not talking that he is going to supplant Jarwin. Jarwin is athletically much better profile than Schultz, but I'm just saying Schultz has earned some touches. You might see some 12 personnel out there, but there's just so many options, and that's what I love about our offense this year, man. And Kellen Moore is going to unleash them. I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's kind of what got lost along the way last season when everybody kind of cascaded down. Was Kellen Moore was on fire the first 5 games. He was we were dropping 35 points with ease on just about everybody. Even the Rams defense that looked formidable couldn't really slow our offense down at full strength. And so you get all those guys working together, even if Schultz does earn some playing time in that personnel, which 1 out of 5 plays, I think, is what they ran last year. But I think they ran a lot more 12 last year because they were trying to emphasize the run just to keep the games moving along, because they had Ben DiNucci back there. And so it's kind of what the camp battles I'm looking at are the ones for depth positions, because the team really doesn't have much depth. And that's been the case last 2 or 3 years where, yes, we've drafted extremely well. Yes, we have a lot of star players, but behind them, we saw what happens last year when one big cog goes down. Is the lack of depth is scary bad. And so I'm looking at the linebacker battle. You mentioned Keanu Neal. Maybe he just decided that he was going to go full-blown linebacker from strong safety, because he looked more like a linebacker than a safety at so far with his – I mean, coming off an Achilles is hard, but I'm more interested in seeing if Micah Parsons can carve out a starting role, not just as a nickel coverage linebacker. I'm interested to see if Leighton Vander Esch can come back to full strength, because when he goes down, we've seen both years of his career.
Mm-hmm.
When he goes down, the defense goes from average to terrible. And he's a great player that happens to have come across 2 very scary injuries especially from a linebacker who's contact forward. He's a ball hawk. He's gonna lay a hat on somebody. And you break a collarbone and you fracture a vertebrae, you're gonna be hopefully he's not apprehensive to go in there and stick his nose in there again. Again, mental things. But overall, the camp battles, I don't see Schultz challenging Jarwin for like your 4 wide set tight end. I don't see him challenging if they're in 11, which they're going to be in a lot of time with 3 wide receivers and 1 tailback. It's going to be Jarwin that sits on the line and plays the traditional tight end because they're going to try to weaponize this whole offense. Kellen Moore just wants Dak to go back there, have 1 or 2 reads that are pre-planned based on the formation he sees coming out of the huddle, and just start dropping bombs. Like this whole offense is. There's really no weakness at full strength, and so that's what the whole league is on notice that you might have to score 40 to beat the Cowboys this year.
Bruce, I want to toss this question over to you. I'm going to stick with the quarterback for just a second, and then we'll move on to some of the other ones. But last year you guys brought in Andy Dalton as a backup to Dak, and obviously that came in handy. I mean, there's a scenario where the defense plays a little bit better and you can get into the playoffs, right? I mean, the division wasn't very good, but there was no veteran backup that was brought in this offseason, right? Like Garrett Gilbert, Ben DiNucci, that's Cooper Rush is still kicking around apparently. But there wasn't a push to bring in a veteran. Was that just there weren't very many good options, or was it just well, if we lose Dak, the season's gone anyway, so who cares?
Pretty much that. I mean, how many backup options are just hanging around the league that's going to win you a Super Bowl? On top of that, there's cap ramifications to that too. Kind of tied on that. So you kind of just want to develop your guys, see what you can get out of that. If something happens to Dak, you're not really planning on a guy like Dak going down like that anyways. But at least it happened in a part of the season where we could unfortunately lose the right amount of games and get a decent draft pick, good draft capital out of it to reap unfortunate rewards. It's just something that you can never plan on. There's not many teams in this league that has a starting caliber quarterback, let alone a quarterback that's good enough to lead you to the playoffs, win the Super Bowl as a backup. And if that player is a backup, then they should be a starter. You might as well trade them, get some capital out of them anyways, and just keep building more parts to your team. So from a team building perspective, I kind of agree with what they're doing.
Yeah, really good point. Bo, I don't know if anybody brought this up, but the Amari Cooper news, I mean, him being on the PUP list, is that worrisome at all to you? That's an ankle injury for him and supposed to be back mid-August?
No worry whatsoever. The minor ankle injury, he's being methodical with it. They happen to be in the Hall of Fame game, which is a week earlier than all the other preseason games. So after they get through that next week, then they have 2 weeks before their next preseason game. That's really where they're tracking anyway. And they probably wouldn't have Cooper on the field anyway until the 3rd preseason game. So this is a non-story. It's a non-issue. They're just buying time so that they can have full strength for when the games really matter.
Did you get to touch on your camp battle, or did we not get to that one yet, or the plot line?
More just the depth pieces, and then linebacker with the new and the old kind of meshing together, and hopefully with the cover 3 scheme where they're kind of be more bend and not break, and going after some more turnovers, more of a heat-seeking type turnover defense than we've seen in the last couple of years, where they just kind of sit back and get bashed in the head over and over again because they can't work in space when there's basically a bunch of practice squad level players floating around.
I think. Do we have? Y'all hear that echo?
No.
Sound like maybe it was all in the background there. But so the defense, right? The defense is the thing that this is going to boil down to. I mean, that's ultimately what if the team is going to go far, the defense is what's got to ultimately take it. Somebody have the
just be competent enough that we don't have to have Dak put up 50 points a game. Don't have us worn out by the end of the 17-game season. Just don't be that crap. Don't be the 32nd best offense in the league. Be like the 28th. be like the 26th. I'd be happy with that, man. You just give the offense a chance not to have to go insane every game. Dak doesn't need to break passing records for us to have success. I mean, he shouldn't have to.
Yep. Mike
He
Nolan
showed
out.
he can, but
Dan Quinn is back in, and Dan Quinn's at least a competent coordinator, right? I mean, there's at least reason to believe he's going to be able to come in there and run a defense that's going to fit the personnel. Maybe where's the biggest question you think, Bruce, in this defense? If they're going to struggle, where is it going to be in the secondary?
Yeah, I think it's a secondary. There's a lot of growing up to do there. Some opportunities. We're kind of young there. There's also some room for us to break out as well with Calvin Joseph to see what happens with him. But ultimately, there's a lot of opportunities there that could make or break us as well because we're young and there's not as much depth. There's a lot that could happen. Hopefully, there could be some developmental progression in the right way that goes for us that can allow this team to be more middle of the road in defense than 32nd overall. And that's probably that may be the tipping point, that along with staying healthy.
So let's jump into this next question from a fantasy perspective, and I'll toss this up to you first, Smokey. If someone on this team is going to be a sleeper this season, who is it?
I don't know, Greg the Leg. Who's sleeping on any piece of the Cowboys offense right now? They've got to be one of the most rostered teams out there, through the depth chart. How many other backups are taken as high as Tony Pollard with actual hopes? He's not getting in front of Zeke. People, get that out of your heads, man. Zeke is a much better running back in pretty much every way than Tony Pollard. I love Tony Pollard. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but Zeke is special. And y'all are going to see that this year again. But, I mean, Pollard still gets drafted very high. I mean, Dalton Schultz, is that going to be our sleep? Even he's getting drafted because people are just, kind of hedging their bets against Jarwin's health and come back from injury. But I don't think you can really say there's a what about you guys? What do you think?
And I think you're dead right about Pollard, though. But I think as far as what he's capable of in an offense that is versatile, is his upside could be where he sneaks into that Nyheim Hines 15 to 24 ranked running back range, because they've already been talking about weaponizing his extremely good receiving ability in 4 wide receiver sets, where he doesn't come off the field when Zeke is behind in the backfield. He doesn't come off the field when they're on 3rd and 15. Zeke is an every down back, and like you said, he's better at pretty much everything that Pollard does, maybe except for speed and elusiveness. But Pollard is too special not to have on the field. And when left with the decision of putting Jarwin in the slot on a 3rd and long, or putting Cedric Wilson in the slot on 3rd and long as that speed slot, putting Tony Pollard out there, who's been top 5 in the entire league in broken tackle percentage both years as a pro, that could put another strain on the defense, where they have to look for number 20 as well as 21 as well as everybody on the field can be the guy who gets it done from week to week. And so he's been a big target of mine. I'm obviously the biggest Tony Pollard stan on the internet, but it comes from a place of knowledge to where I've seen what he did at Memphis for those 2 years, where he didn't need to be behind center. He didn't need to be in the backfield every play. He was lined up in wing most of the time in that kind of slasher role that we predict for Travis Etienne. This offense, Kellen Moore is creative enough. He's not Jason Garrett. He's actually going to draw stuff up to get people in space. And I think a tailback that can run 4-4 is a guy you want to get in space.
Well, and I think people think he's 5'8", 185 pounds when they think about him. He's 6 foot.
He's
210,
almost as big as Zeke is now. Yeah, he's almost as big as Zeke is now without he lost weight.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I mean, I feel like his upside, you know, in the case he were to get enough touches, he could be really good. And I like the Nyheim Hines comparison, because if he does play something like that, like if Kellen Moore was watching that offense and thought like, I got a guy that might can do that, Tony Pollard might could be that guy. Jump in there, Smokey.
Oh, I was just gonna say future head coach Kellen Moore.
Oh yeah,
that was for Ty out there. No, and if you're one of these people that are out there, you know, going to bat for the argument that, you know, too much volume, too much touches, too much tread on the tire, Zeke is going to fall off some cliff. He just turned 26 a day or two ago. If you're buying that narrative, then Pollard should be your absolute target, because when Zeke is not in there, we've seen what Pollard can do. And in this offense, whoo, my God, I would love him.
Yeah, there's more people on your bandwagon there for Kellen Moore. He's done a fantastic job, which has been really cool. Bruce, who do you think, if there's a sleeper here? You know, we mentioned Tony Pollard. He's going off as the RB35 on DLF's ADP. You know, we mentioned Dalton Schultz. He's going real late. I'll go find that. But you know, there's Gallup. There's there's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. And if somebody gets a higher share of the targets than we thought, man, it could be really good.
Sleeper, it's hard to peg with this team because no one's really sleeping on any of these skilled players that are on the field. So really, you kind of want to go a little deeper, peel back some of these layers. And I look at this wide receiver unit going into camp, and they got a lot of good ancillary jabronis here that can do something. Some older Devy prospects that's been on our radar. We're talking about guys like Brendan Eagles, TJ Vasher, and other guys. Aaron Parker from Rhode Island. Last year's draft, a lot of people was on him due to what he was doing on film. I can't say his name really well, but Simi Fico.
I
can say his name as well. But fifth round, like there's just a lot of good talent on the back end. And it also depends on how many wide receivers they want to carry. They usually carry around 5, but if they want to cut down on a position somewhere else and go 6, which they may be pressed to do that with this group, then that could create more opportunities. I like Cedric Wilson if something happened and there was some volume, but that's a sleeper you don't count on. But we don't have sleepers on this team. We have a team everybody is awake for and excited. So you pretty much got to peel back players really far. And to do that, you got a lot of mismatched wide receivers on the back end that could make something happen if worse comes to worse. And with this offense, with Dak, Kellen Moore, you're talking about a team that led the league in the first 5 weeks and plays ran per game with 74, led the league in pace and neutral game script with 20.7 seconds between plays. This you can pretty much plug and play some of these guys as ancillary players, and they could be relevant for you. So they may not be wide receiver 1s and wide receiver 2s, but they can be something in a pinch.
Jarwin going
I
go ahead.
Disagree with that a little bit. Yeah, because I mean, after Cedric Wilson, who we did see flashes of last year, the reason being is we saw actual whole series where the top 3 wide receivers would be off the field and they'd run in the second unit of wide receivers with Dak out there, or with Ben DiNucci or with Andy Dalton. They ran that rotation pretty consistently where they would have the second team offense and the skill positions run an entire series to spell the starters. And that's where we saw Cedric Wilson show up. I watched a lot of Simi Foco at Stanford because I'm a huge Pac-12 guy. He's nothing. He's JJ Arcega-Whiteside with less draft capital. He doesn't run crisp routes. He's got great hands, but in a big body. But that's about it. If you want a Juju Smith-Schuster with even less explosive playmaking ability and no TikTok account, that's Simi. And that's
special teams.
That's
I like the guy.
We always need coverage guys, but
great.
Simi's gonna be on the roster, but I don't think he's gonna be doing much in the way of boosting any stats. Like I don't think his box score is gonna read much at the end of the year, even if there are injuries to our receiving core. So I would say after Cedric Wilson, who I do see as a skilled person who will see the field in certain sets, there really isn't anything there. The Rhode Island kid's okay, but I mean, these are all just depth pieces that are bodies to fill the 53-man roster if they even make it that far.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he probably could come over and be the Saints' #1 wide receiver right now. So that's
I don't know. Marquez Callaway.
team.
I've been harping on Callaway since last year. He's got potential.
So let's switch over to this now, Bruce. Like, if you're going to say somebody's going to bust, like not live up to their draft position, because like you said, there's a lot of like people are on this team and maybe even hyping them up some. What do you think? Who's not going to live up to their ADP?
It's hard to peg. That's the hardest thing. I've been thinking about this all day, and it would have to be due to an injury or whatever. That's the thing, because the volume in this offense is projected to bring from what we saw earlier in the season last year when they had Dak on the field. We should see a lot of players eat. And it also just depends on what you call bust, because I wouldn't consider any of the tight ends bust if the wide receivers feast, and because I wouldn't be expecting high-end tight end numbers, because you only get 2 or 3 of them out of the league anyways. So I can't see Zeke busting unless something happens to him. Same with Lamb. Same with Cooper. Gallup, I expect better out of him compared to last year. I expect him to like I can't really see him bust compared to his draft position compared to his potential. So it's really hard to peg. Pollard, no, not really. I can't see him busting either, because he's being drafted at a good price, and the upside's there, and he's very sound, and the volume's there for the team. I'm really struggling with this. It would have to take an injury to one of these top players for them to really bust for me.
Now, let me ask you this, and maybe I don't know if I'll come right back to you, Smoke and Bo, but Bruce, like if I tell the story where we talk about pace and we look at the first few games with Dak, if they kept up that pace, it would be an anomaly, right? Like if you're looking at a bell curve, it's like all the way on the right side. I mean, it would have been just a complete flash in the pan. Do we think that's what that's what the team really wants to do, or does the team want the defense to step up a little bit, not be in these shootouts all day, and the pass attempts not be on pace for 700 or whatever it was?
I think everybody wants their defense to step up a bit from what we saw last year. And I think that would be lovely for them. I don't know. It's really going to see when we get to game day and on the field that's going to happen. With that being so high and with that being such a small sample, that's only like 5 games, not even 5 games, because he did get hurt in the last one. But we could see a regression towards that, but that is pegging that still to be higher than average compared to league consensus, and which is going to generate a lot of volume for these players, and it's going to really impact their production greatly.
Smoke, what do you think about is there anybody that you think could be, if someone is going to bust, not saying they will, but if they are, who would that be?
I mean, barring injury, I completely agree. I don't see anyone on this offense relative to ADP busting. Everyone's going to get fed. I'm not a big fan of buying into the too many mouths narrative, because Dak's well capable of supporting multiple fantasy options, multiple relevant fantasy options here. But if you play with team defense, if you're playing with IDP people, I mean, good chances defense might bust, kids. But I don't think anyone's having the highest of hopes for them coming in where they're reaching or even drafting them. They could probably be gotten off the waiver wire. But IDP guys, Micah Parsons, I don't know. I wasn't exactly sold on the pick. I've been coming around definitely since the draft. But I think he can have possible bust potential. Who knows? If it's going to be someone, I got to put my name on someone. Sure, let it be Micah. We'll put it on the rookie.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, on offense, there's a little bit of bust potential because of the kind of what we envision the offense to be. Might not be what the case is. I mean, something always changes, whether it's pace play or, like you said, we might be wrong about Jarwin. He's not exactly going early in tight end ranks, right. But if Schultz does earn more of that share, then I don't expect it to be the case. But if it does, then Jarwin is not somebody you want to start at any point for a fantasy team. And at the same time, Gallup as the wide receiver 3 on this team. Gallup is the wide receiver 3 on this team. I'd like to say that they have a chance to have 3 1,000-yard wide receivers. And Gallup is the odd man out if they go more run heavy, which is what they kind of want to be with the defense being a little bit compromised. They might want to feed Zeke and Pollard more to run clock and keep the defense off the field, and that might leave Gallup as the odd man out for volume.
So for some of these teams, this next slate of questions has an easy answer. For instance, who will lead this team in rushing attempts? That's very clearly going to be Ezekiel Elliott. But this one might be harder. There might be some disagreement here. What do we like? I'm going to go right back to you, Bo. Who do you think is going to lead the team in targets this season?
Well, I mean, I hope it's CeeDee Lamb because of him getting the X position. I don't think they'll move Cooper out of the Z position because he's so good at it, and they loved his capability of running routes without the coverage on the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, I hope it's Lamb, but I actually do think it's still going to be Cooper because he is so good at getting open from the Z position. And it's going to be close. I expect to see 120 targets or so, and then Lamb somewhere between 110, 115. But, I mean, I think at the end of the day, your yards per catch and your total yards and touchdowns will even still favor Lamb. But Cooper is going to be that old, reliable guy that Dak is just clicking with all the time.
Bruce, 130 targets for Amari Cooper last year, 111 for Lamb. What do you think? Does it stay in that order, or does Lamb surpass him?
I have the same feelings as him. I wanted Lamb. Sometimes I keep looking at these two and I keep thinking Lamb, but objectively, I think Cooper, as long as everybody stays healthy, but that's what we're going to say with all these guys. But I feel like Cooper's just going to be reliable. One of the best route runners in the league. Very underrated. Catches a lot of hate on the internets, Twitters, the TikToks, and he plays through injuries. He is very reliable. He's a team guy, and I just see him just racking up the targets and leading the team in targets. But again, Lamb's not going to be too far behind. It may be just maybe a 10-pack behind him, 5, 15, not much. And and then objectively, I can't say Lamb can't lead the team in targets because he's definitely good enough to do so, but I just see Cooper being too reliable to give up his share.
I don't think many people realize, Smoke, that Michael Gallup only had 6 less targets than CeeDee Lamb last year total. He was right there at 105 and actually led the wide receiver room in snaps. Like no wide receiver saw the field as much as he did. He could be an interesting guy. I don't think we're going to pick him as going to lead the team in targets, but just an interesting note there. I have a feeling you're going to say Lamb based on your shirt.
I mean, did I give it away? No, man. Like, and you just listed off those targets there for all 3 of those players. That was without Dak.
Right.
Now add Dak back into that equation. Those numbers are fungible, man. And it's going to depend on how Kellen Moore is going to run these guys, where he's going to switch them around to. I have full faith that my boy CeeDee Lamb is going to be the target leader because you know what? Targets are earned, and this kid is going to earn them. He is special. We have not seen a receiver like this in Dallas for a while. And we've seen some receivers in Dallas, man, and I'm not knocking Amari Cooper. I love Amari. I love all of the pieces of our receiving corps, but Lamb is special. And this kid is going to see a year to ascension like none other. Book it. Put my damn name on that. CeeDee Lamb.
Love it.
Leader on the Cowboys 2021. I love it.
Love it. So I do have a question about the team overall and their performance, but one question that came in here from the chat that I thought was interesting is CeeDee Lamb's value in Dynasty. Bruce, you seem like the perfect person to ask this to. What kind of draft capital would you need in return to trade away CeeDee Lamb?
A lot. I need a Godfather offer, honestly. I like to the point where I shouldn't need to ask. Like, I plan to have him on my teams for years to come. And it really, even if he just finishes the year as a wide receiver too, I'm with him for the long haul because I know I'm going to get production out of him for a long time. and I'm also paying for that. I'm also holding him for that. 3 firsts minimum.
I think that
Minimum. Yeah. It would have to be a lot. Like, I'm not giving them away. Like, I would have to see it, and it have to be an instant accept. Like, it'll probably depend on the day too. Like,
it's
if I'm in a good mood.
Like trading away CeeDee Lamb is like trading away Jonathan Taylor would just not be fun right now. Like CeeDee Lamb is like on that level of players that you just like Pat Mahomes in a super flex. Like, you just don't want to do it. Even if the value seems right, you don't want to trade him away.
Well, I don't have to worry about him in 2023, 2024 on my team. Like, it's 2021. I know those years down the road, I got a wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb. That's one of the reasons why I value him.
I mean, like, if you look at it from the other side of the coin too, dynasty trading is about compromise. You're not going to be able to give that Cowboys fan who holds CeeDee Lamb a good enough offer. It's just not going to happen. I happen to have gotten him for a first, a second, and a piece. And then, like, me, same thing. If somebody wanted to get him off me, it's going to cost them a lot more because of my fandom. I want to root for the players that are on my team. And so the price goes up if it's a member of your team that happens to also be a top 5 dynasty asset at their position. It's not something you're going to just throw down the road for some picks that you don't know who they're going to be. It's a minimum of 2 firsts for somebody who's not a fan that just wants to move him and get good value for him. And so, 3 firsts if it's me, but if I'm trying to get him, I'm looking to get him for multiple picks, multiple high picks, and probably a piece that's not exactly trash either.
Going off as the wide receiver 7 right now, it's hard to envision things going so bad for him that he does not rise in ADP next year. It just kind of seems like one of those like slam dunks where he's going to gain value from now to then. Anything can happen, but if you're going to bet on somebody to not lose ADP next year, it seems like he's a pretty good bet for that. No, one more question here. As good as the supporting cast is, where would Dak finish this year? I didn't ask you for your rankings on Dak. I don't know. Is that privileged information, Bruce, or can we ask you what that is?
Let me think about this. I got him up there, top 3-ish, definitely top 5. He's up there really high. I'd have to look. He's definitely top 4, top 3-ish. I hold him in high regards, especially in redraft too. I've been pulling him pretty early. Oh, I can't remember, but I have him really, really high comparatively. Rushing, very stable now with the contract. Let's see. I'd take him over Lamar. I'm 3. I'd take him over Lamar. I don't know if I'm ranked that way, but right now in my head, I'd take him over Lamar. Take him over Josh Allen. Take him over a lot. I'd take 3 sounds right.
Yep.
Not Mahomes.
On that.
If you want to take him over Mahomes, you love him that much, go ahead. I'm not going to hate you for it.
I am.
You can go as high as you want, really. You can go as high as you want with Dak. I'm very, very confident.
All right, Bo. Last question that I'll ask everybody here. What's the Dallas Cowboys record next year? Now, remember, we got a 17-game season. So last year, 6-10. What's 21?
They're going to be 11-6. I actually think they're going to start 0-2. The schedule opens up really, really tough. Road games are going to be a challenge for them, but the middle, like the very middle chunk is favorable, and then the very end of the season is favorable. So if they can hold it together and finish with 11 wins, they'll be playoff bound, hopefully division champs, and that'll lead them to where anything can happen. Just got to get into the tournament, get into the playoffs, and where anything can happen. And Dez caught it.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Bruce, what do you think? Record this year?
I'm on lockstep with him. 10, 11 wins-ish, somewhere around there. Could be a little more, could be a little less, but 10, 11 seems right. Just how this team's built offensively. Defense could surprise us and be better than what we think, at least be middle of the road, and that would be the kicker. That would be the kicker for this team.
Smoke?
when the schedule got released, I went through it and just kind of did my gut feel on, what would be when. And it's very up and down. The schedule's kind of crappy. I mean, there's some good stretches and everything, but like you said, the beginning's not easy. And like I said, kind of up and down. I can see us coming away realistically 10-7. That's my call for this year. It's not pretty, but it might be enough to do it. I mean, we just have to get past Washington. Are we concerned about the Giants? No. Are we concerned about the Eagles? Not really.
No.
What are we concerned about, man? So it's going to be Washington. We get past their defense, and that division's ours. We're in the playoffs. So. Yeah, 10-7 might be able to do it. Who knows? It was a sub 500 record that got in last year, so anything's possible.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, as anybody watching this can tell, like these are three really entertaining, smart people who know what they're talking about. So make sure you're following them. You see their Twitter handles right there. Well, you don't have yours, Smoke, but you'll find.
They know where to find me.
Wait, I just had it pulled up. It's at TNF_Smoke. No, what? Smokey. That's right. That's right.
SMOKEY for all your fantasy needs.
He's got a jingle.
Right there.
Jeez.
Of course I got a jingle. Come on, man. This is my first rodeo.
Yeah, this guy produces solo videos all the time. Like he knows what he's doing, no doubt. So I am at Calvin and Hobby. Thank you for tuning into the team series here. I am pumped that you're following along with us. There are a lot of things that we can learn, and when we focus in on these teams and ask the people who pay attention to their team, like you always learn something because they're paying the most attention to that team out of any other team. So make sure you're following, and then look, just right down there, make sure that the little box says subscribed. If not, if it just says subscribe, hit the button. Make sure you turn that to subscribe. Hit the like button, a little thumbs up. Make sure you're doing that. Comments help. Like it helps the YouTube algorithm. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all you guys, Smoke, Bruce, Bo, for coming on and helping us break down this team. So for all you guys for DL football, make sure that you are following that. And then next, we got the Saints right after this, and I'm fired up. Got some great people. All right. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks.